Hey guys, welcome back to another video in this channel. Today we're gonna continue with the infected character that we've been working on. So yeah, let me show you. This is where we left off. This is the last little advance that we did, which was the tabard piece. And now we're ready to jump onto one of the most important parts, which is the webs, right? Like all of the webbing things that this character has. And I've been thinking about like what would be the best way to approach this. And unfortunately, there's no easy way. Like, there's not like a plugin or anything that could give us this sort of webs that I'm seeing right here. It's a little bit more like sculpted, right? It looks like chunks of webbing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little trick here. I'm gonna select this character and I'm gonna clone it, just like this. Duplicate. There we go. And then this, I'm just gonna rename. Rename. Call this webs. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the color, of course. So selecting the white color, I'm gonna say color fill object. There we go. And as you can see, we get this, right? So if we take a look at the fist over here, for instance, I know that we're not gonna have like any webbing on the fingers. So I'm just gonna start smoothing. And as you can see, what's happening here is we're getting an overlap, right? Like we get like the old character that we have, and then this new like section of the character. And I think this is probably going to be the best way to approach this character. Like we're going to have two meshes, one on top of the other, and then we're going to start creating like the volume. So for instance here, see how we're doing this like sort of trick. This is going to allow me to sculpt the webbing with more freedom, if you wish. For instance, if I want to add like a little strap like the one that we have right there, I can just like literally draw on top of the character. And since both of the skins are really close together, then that's going to give us a nice result, right? Like it is going to look like this thing is coming out of the character. So for instance, you can see like there's a lot of like bundling here on top of this thing. So I'm just going to start pushing this like webbing out of the body and into this section right here. And I did a couple of experiments before recording, and this one looked the best, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, since this is a little bit more of a stylized character, we can play around with this sort of stuff. Now, the only important thing here is that we really need to make it seem like there's a distinction between the two meshes, right? So, for instance, here it's very important that we like really push all of the geometry of the web that we're not using inside of the character's skin, because otherwise we would get that information on an eventual bake. So it's pretty much like creating like an inner character, right? Like it's a character that's living inside of the other character, and that we can pull and push if we need to. So for instance, here I'm definitely gonna like bring some of that volume out. And I'm just going to start going all the way to the other side. Now, this is the kind of like mentality that we need to have when doing this sort of stuff. Like, I know that this is supposed to be stylized, right? And I do see a certain flow, like a bandage. If any one of you have ever had like a first aid like course or tutorial or something, you know that bandages are supposed to go in a specific direction. So in this case, I really don't need to make it seem like all of the bandages or all of the like strands are going in the same direction, but it helps, right? It helps sell this sort of like webbing effect or like layered effect. So for instance, here I can see that there's one line that's going to this like outer side. So it's coming from the side, and then it kind of goes under another like band that we have right here. We can have like another one right there, going like into the fingers, kind of like a boxer's like protection gloves, right? Like this. And that way, when we see the thing as a whole, even though these are supposed to be like really fine strands of spider web, it does give it the impression of having like some sort of direction, right? Let's Dynamesh. Dynamesh is definitely going to help, as you can see right there. And then just keep pushing. There we go. And that's how we create this sort of like webbing effect on this characters right here. For the spheres, we're probably gonna do something a little bit different, because on the spheres, things are not going like super close to where I would like them. So for instance here, I could just start like sculpting some of this, like again like spider strands. This sphere is a little bit too low, I think. So I'm gonna select this guy and just like move it up. Probably not that up, about there. Now let's bring this guy back. As you can see, we have like this big section right here. I'm gonna get rid of symmetry now. And I'm just gonna get this guy right there. Same for this one, like on this side of the arm, we can see that this webbing doesn't go all the way into the palm. It stays only like on the forearm. So I'm just gonna start like removing all of this volume right here. And then we have like a couple of holes. And this is a cool thing about this technique, that since we are sculpting on top of the other character, it's easy to create this sort of like elements and holes that's gonna give like a way better like visual interest, right? This would be like, imagine having to sculpt this from scratch without having to worry about like the backside of the character. It would definitely drive us crazy, I can tell you that. There's another one right here. Now, of course, it's gonna be pretty much impossible to like match perfectly all of the like the specific strands and stuff that we have on the concept. This is where there's always like a little bit of an adaptation between the 3D and the 2D. Because I mean, we could capture it like precisely, but more often than not, there's not enough time to do it on a project. That's a very interesting thing about like 3D. We can do a lot of things, right? Like we've mentioned this before. Every single piece of artwork is it's never finished. It's only abandoned. That's a phrase by Leonardo da Vinci. I've mentioned it before. And the cool thing about that is that if you are in a project where the client wants like a character and he's giving you 8 months to do it, well, you have all the time in the world, of course, as long as he pays for those 8 months, right? Which is always a little bit tricky, because that's the thing. A lot of people that are not in our industry think that what we do is really easy or really fast. And yes, we can be fast and we can make it look easy when we're experienced enough, but it's not cheap, right? Like if I have to work on something for like a month, like full time, that's 160 hours of work. And even if you grab like let's say like United States like low like minimum wage, which is I think like $10, that's 160 $160, right? That you have to pay for. Is that it? No, it's more than 160. I'm really bad at math. $160 times 10. It's $1,600. $1,600 that you have to pay for a character to do this sort of stuff. And some of you might be like, well, $600 is not that bad for a full month of work. No, it's not actually that bad. Like for instance, here in Mexico, $1,600 would be like a really nice number, because our base salary is way lower than that. And I know that there's a lot of countries where it's also low, but still a lot of money for just one character. And if the client wants like a full render and animation and stuff, well, that's when you see things getting a lot like more expensive, right? So that's one of the things that we usually struggle with when working with clients. The fact that when you tell them, hey, yes, we can do this that you are asking for, but it's not gonna be cheap. It's gonna cost you like not a lot, but just quite a bit, right? So yeah. Now let's go to the spheres right here. I'm gonna duplicate this once, and I'm also gonna do a color fill object to make them white. And I'm actually gonna say mRGB to fill the material as well. There we go. And then if we just smooth them out, as you can see right here, we're pretty much making the spheres slightly smaller. And we're going to use the same trick. So for instance, if we go to this one's right here, you can see that this one on the concept right here is like really covered. So I'm just going to start like bringing out this like webbing to capture this sort of effect. Let's Dynamesh, of course. It's kind of like painting, right? Like we're painting out the elements and bringing them out so they look as close as possible to the concept. Let's turn this off. There we go. And here's where we're gonna have to start sculpting, like the thin areas or the thick areas, to really bring in this sort of effect. Eventually, this thing is gonna collide or overlap with this one over here, the bottom one, and that's fine. Like, you don't need everything to be combined into a single object. That's a misconception that a lot of people have. As long as things flow into each other and they create this like interesting effects, then you're fine. So for instance, I have this line going down here. I'm gonna go back to the little spheres here, and I can continue this line over there. And yes, there's gonna be like a small little line that we're gonna see on the bake, like that division right there. But the overall shape is going in the direction that I want. So that helps. For instance, here I can see like looks a little bit more like a web. So we're gonna do that sort of stuff. And it's also about like logic. So we want to make things look logical. So if we need to add a little bit more mass in certain areas or remove certain mass in certain areas, we can do that as well. Like in between the little X, I would expect there to be a lot of this sort of effect, right? Like this main sphere right here, I'm looking at it and it's really, really infected. So I would expect to have a lot of webs over here. And again, those like cool holes that we can add right there, I'm doing them by accident. Like I'm not really thinking about them. I'm just getting some of them every now and then, and they look good. They look good because they make it look a little bit more organic. I'm gonna do another mRGB color fill object, just so that everything's white again. There we go. And we just keep like creating this sort of effect. Again, at the end, like it might be a little bit difficult to visualize right now because we have all of the colors and stuff. But if you think about the model itself, all of the pieces that we're doing are eventually going to be baked down into a low poly, and that low poly is going to catch all of this detail. And then we're going to have to texture it, of course, to make it look like webs and paint it and stuff. We're still a little bit like far away from the final result for this guy, by the way. Like it's not like we're gonna be finishing this in like 2 or 3 days. I'm probably gonna do like a couple of videos about like tips and tricks. I also want to continue with the lighthouse, which I know is a favorite project that people have been asking for. So we're gonna mix and match, but we'll continue this. I kind of want to have this guy done by the end of April, so that's like a week. Let's see if we can do it. I'm getting my allergies again. Sorry about that. There we go. But yeah, as you can see, like this is a trick that I'm gonna be doing pretty much all over this guy to make sure he looks like he has been infested or invaded by all of this like lines. For instance, we can do like a really small line right there, and that's like a small little web, right? So that's one of, I would say one of the advantages of doing this trick of having like another geometry beneath this guy is the fact that we can push and pull all of this like tendrils or however you want to call them and create this sort of stuff. Like I'm gonna add a little bit more mass here to like really cover all of this stuff. And now we can start like using a smaller brush to really give it like this sort of like fibery texture. Right now I'm not working with a lot of geometry just yet, but I can already start like the word is suggesting. I can suggest the direction of like where these strands are going, right? That's it. It looks way better than on our initial one, I think. Let's go back here and start pushing this. Again, here's where I'm gonna start losing some information from the concept. Like we don't see that much information about the concept, and we're gonna have to start like imagining or yeah, just like just sorry, improvising, right? Like we need to adapt the graphic shapes that we have, because this is also very loose. Sometimes when concept artists do their stuff, They just keep it like really loose, and they hope that we can solve it, and that's fine. Like they all are, they're also busy doing a lot of work on all of the like ideation of the stuff. So we need to be consistent with the language information that we get, so that we can create something that looks like the original artwork. A lot of people, when they're like doing stuff or concepts, they worry a little bit too much about being like perfect, like pixel perfect on the way that the artist like made the stuff. In my experience, I've been doing this for several years now. Directors and art directors are not super like tricky. Like there are of course like things that are super important to make sure you get right, but there's room for like changes and modifications every now and then. So don't sweat it too much. Do we have two? Because I'm trying to. Oh, see, like we don't have spheres right there. That's weird. Maybe I didn't have polygroups on those ones when I duplicated them. If that happens, no problem. One thing we can do is I'm just gonna do an V and then I, and I'm gonna use my insert primitives right here. And I'm just gonna insert like a big sphere right there. And then another one like right there. And when we dynamesh, now we can use those new like meshes to again like start sculpting on top of everything. Now, I'm not gonna bore you guys with all of the process here, so I'm probably gonna be finishing the video real soon. And I'll just polish. I'll just keep on polishing this thing. And then in the next video, we'll do the little like horns real quick, and we'll prepare our character for the texturing process, okay? But before I go, you guys know that we do have our little commercial here, so let's go to it real quick. Hey guys, Abraham here. I just wanted to remind you guys that we upload all of our courses to Skillshare. Skillshare is this amazing site where you can access a ton of different content to learn, improve, and grow as an artist. We have all of our courses available to watch and learn from right now in Skillshare. You can check the description down here, and Skillshare is offering 1 free month trial to their premium membership. With this membership, you're going to be able to access all of our courses and watch and learn all of the amazing things that we cover with all of the softwares. So, what are you waiting for? Check Skillshare down here below. There you go. So that really helps us, guys. If you have not used your free month in Skillshare, it's a really good support for us, and it's completely free for you. So I strongly suggest you give it a shot. It's a free course. In 1 month, you can easily cover any of the courses that I've recorded in the last months. There's plenty of time to do them, and I do believe we also have special discounts for some of our courses. I think for the hard surface and for the marbles one. So if you want to check them out, check the videos that we uploaded a couple of days ago. And yeah, so as you can see, guys, the webbing is looking a lot better. We're getting closer and closer to our concept. And I'm gonna stop the video right here. But as I mentioned, I'm probably gonna be like well, not probably, I am gonna be polishing this guy a little bit more off camera, just to save you guys a little bit of time. We'll probably take a little bit of a break. We'll cover some cool videos tomorrow, cool tips and tricks about other stuffs in the softwares, and we'll continue with this guy throughout the week. Sounds good? Remember that also this Wednesday we have our live stream, our like a monthly live stream. So if you have questions or if you want to talk about like random stuff, save them for them as well. Make sure to leave a comment, share, subscribe, like, and I'll see you back, guys, on the next one. Bye-bye.